Hey, boss. Hey, how are you today? It's your girl, LaShonda Henry here, aka SistaSense. Always excited to share things you can do to work on your money, your marketing, and your sales goals too, with strategy and intention. So today, I'm going to do something new for you. I'm actually bringing on one of my favorite mentees, business besties, the amazing Don McCoy, as part of my brilliant boss conversations with Black women entrepreneurs. So you guys are in for a treat today. Feel free to, as you're coming on in, tag some of your business besties who would love to learn about things that they can do to work on not only their money marketing and sales goals, but their leadership goals too. We're going to be talking about how to lead with confidence in a crisis, which is really important, especially during these uncertain, unsettling times, right? So being able to lead with confidence in a crisis, that is what we are going to dig into today. But before I introduce my girl, Dawn, just going to bring her on into the conversation to make sure that we are all good to go.
Hi
Hello.
there. How are you?
Yay! I have known this beautiful lady for many, many moons now. I think we first connected inside of the Black Back to Business that I usually
Yes.
do, the Back to Business virtual conference
Mhm.
experience, and we've been
That's right.
ride or die ever since. I want
Exactly.
you guys to really get excited, especially those of you who are looking to lead with confidence in a crisis, because Dawn is here to share a wealth of information with you. The amazing Don McCoy is the founder of Flourish Leadership Group and a leadership development strategist who helps really and truly is committed to helping aspiring leaders as a public servant, former nonprofit executive, and award winning community advocate. Dawn serves others through her published books. I tell y'all, she's got a lot of good for you. Okay, through her published books, through her training and public speaking too. She lives in Richmond, Virginia, in the Richmond, Virginia area, and graduated from Howard University and Georgetown University, and considers her role as a mom to a 9-year-old boy to be among her proudest leadership roles. I've got a baby boy too, so I
Yes.
feel you on that one. Welcome, welcome, Don. I'm excited to have you here, ready.
Thank you.
Yay! So feel free,
Glad to
guys, if
be
you are
here.
coming on in to say, hey, 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 let us know who you are and where you are in this beautiful world today. I see our fellow Sister Sense Circle. Bestie Lavon is in the building. Yay! Excited to see you here, my dear. So we are going to jump right into the conversation, okay?
Mhm.
But
Sure.
before we get started with the goods of some leadership recommendations, what I honestly want to do is to start off the conversation with just Don sharing with you how you got into leadership development and all the amazingness that you're about to share with us today.
Wow, that's a big question. Thank you. I fell into a lot of it, let me tell you. I had the great fortune of having some training. I started out, as I say, as an intern on Capitol Hill. I literally was in DC going to school and said, "Hey, I need a job. I want to work here. I want to be able to support the effort for policy and advocacy." But I learned by watching congressmen that I worked for and learned everything that they did. And it went from there to the nonprofit world, and then obviously into the corporate world, and then into various community leadership roles. So it's been a continuum of learning leadership and what didn't work so well and what really worked well, and taking that culmination of experience over 3 decades and really compiling it into what I have a passion for, developing leaders.
I love it. I love it. I love that you talked about you falling into it because I tell people that when it comes to entrepreneurship, I fell into a lot of things, right? Not only
Yes.
being an entrepreneur, but being a leader. I consider myself, I don't know about you, Don, but I consider myself to be a social introvert. So being in a
Yes.
position where people look to me for direction, it's like, wait, what?
Yes, exactly.
What do you need? What do you want? And I feel like maybe a lot of us who are social media entrepreneurs are in spaces like that as well, where you
Mhm.
didn't necessarily plan on being in this position where not only you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, you are a leader that people are looking to for direction. So learning is really important, and being able to pivot, of course, as well. So I'm really excited so that we can dig into some of those key points that Don wants to
Mm-hmm.
share with you guys today.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's dig in, y'all. Let's dig into the meat and potatoes of this conversation. First
Mm-hmm.
question for you, my dear, is can you please share what skills leaders will need to leverage during unexpected or emergency situations?
Well, that's a really good question. There are lots of skills that are needed just to be a leader, the soft skills and some of the other skills. And during a crisis situation, it is unexpected. So there are no rights or wrongs. But I do want to say that there have to be a set of ways that people approach. And I talk about it being sort of the macro micro at the same time. You know that there are lots of little things happening, but also there's the big picture.
Right,
It's like
right.
get a bucket, but also make sure you're taking care of the emergency situation if there's a house fire. If there are multiple situations happening, how to look at that. So I say that leaders need to come with everything they have, those soft skills, absolutely. But be prepared for the unexpected to know that you will be drawn on. You'll need to know how to work a computer if you have never done so before to figure it out.
So, taking a look at those micro and macro situations, and you mentioned
Mhm,
soft skills. Can you speak on that just a little bit?
mhm. Sure. So soft skills, the interpersonal skills that people have, the how they interact with people, how they write a very kind email and not just sort of here's the answer,
Mm,
using some softer approach to what we call as traditionally known the sandwich method of being able to provide delivery of information so that it is not just rote. Here is what you need to do. But hi, Johnny, how are you today? I need you to complete this task. And thank you so much for completing that by Tuesday afternoon, and so that you're really being able to have emphasis, but being able to give specific direction. In a crisis, it's even more important because you're really trying to get things done and handle situation and not be able to have loose cannons, if you will. So it's
mm.
really important to be able to connect with people and really be able to make sure that you have those who are following you and the partners that you're working with understand what you're trying to do and why crisis management is so important.
Absolutely. I mean, when tensions are high and things are going on and people are emotional, I like that. And I wasn't quite clear because this is your wheelhouse. This is your area of expertise, what that soft skill meant, but totally understand that need to be conscious of the conversations you're having with people and how to address them. Lavon says here, true, absolutely true. And hey,
Right, right,
Sonia, I
right.
see you. Welcome, welcome from Vegas. So good to have you here as well. So let's continue. Let's continue to talk
Okay.
about this process of really understanding what people need to do. In your leadership roles, you have gleaned some helpful insights, and you've been doing this for a while now. What do you suggest are methods for
Oh, good.
leaders to manage the ever changing circumstances that they're coming across, that they're facing right now? Now, let's see. I see you guys here, but I feel like maybe there was a pause in the connection there. Are we good, Don? Did you hear the question? Do I need to repeat? There does seem to be a lag for a second here.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I know that there in jest being an approach to specifically tackle a plan.
So I'm going to pop you off the screen just for a quick second here. I think Dawn froze for a minute. And as soon as we get her connection back, we can get her back in here and sharing her amazingness when it comes to leadership. But the first thing that we talked about was being in a place where, as a leader, you're leveraging your skills and understanding what those skills are. And she talked about soft skills, being really conscious of how you're going to have conversations with people. And you know, it interesting interestingly enough, when everything happened in the world a few months ago, there were so many conversations as entrepreneurs. We were talking about, should we sell? Should we just give everything away for free? And to me, I said, that's not an option, right? At the end of the day, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we need to be able to quickly pivot and adjust to situations, but just doing so respectfully and conscious of the fact that there are people in our community who need us to step up and show up in the right way. So a lot of us, myself included, continue to sell and sell well, just being conscious of the needs of what our customers and clients, those of us who sell services, needed, and also being aware of budget constraints too. So those are a few things that me personally, I could say that I did, and I'm mindful of, and I want you to be mindful of as well. Feel free to let us know what kind of personal leadership skills you feel like you really have to stretch yourself with when it comes to working on your community and making sure that you are stepping up and showing up for them as well. And we've got Donnie right back here. Yay! Do you need me to repeat that
Hello.
question for you?
I think I heard you ask about the methods or something to the effect. Could you repeat that? I was
Yes.
like all
So,
of a sudden in my
what
note.
do you suggest are methods for leaders to manage the ever growing, changing circumstances?
Well, I definitely think there need to always be a perspective of looking at a plan A, plan B, C, and D. We just experienced that, right? The unexpected with technology, the unexpected with circumstances, emergencies happen, uh, obviously, circumstances in community as well as with an individual. And so always have a plan or a backup plan. That's why we always talk about document, document, document what we do to replicate ourselves should we need to, but also to use leverage, if you will, our partners and allies. I had various situations where I was working with community groups, and we had nonprofits that had to come together and buoy resources to band together. And it was important to do that to be a resource for the community at large. And so I say the methods are multiple. One in this case was using partnerships and collaborations, but also to be able to call upon outside resources. Where in the nonprofit world, I was able to secure donations and requests for people to help out where we had shortfalls. And so that's where we are in the world, where we have to think about what do we have that's the gap and how do we fill it? And how do we make sure we're really being resourceful in doing it? Multiple methods at once.
I love that. And I felt like you talked about a couple of them, backups to the backup to the backup, right? Just not kind of going in one direction, but understanding that you may need to adjust accordingly. And it's
Right.
funny because when you were talking about those calling on your partnerships, I remember immediately when everything happened back in March, the first thing that I did was I called on my fellow entrepreneurial women and I said, look, I need to create something that we can stay positive and prayerful and productive. And I
Yes.
called on as many women entrepreneurs as possible to come in and do the Maintain Your Momentum series, right? And I feel like that's important as well. So identifying people in your community that you can reach out to and on some level partner with is essential. Hopefully you guys are taking notes, by the way, taking notes when it comes to some of these recommendations that Don is sharing with you here. Now, during a crisis, there are oftentimes competing priorities, right? As entrepreneurs, as leaders, we wear many, many hats. So, when it comes to competing priorities that leaders must handle, what are your recommendations for self care during times like this?
Mm, Paramount, unparalleled, a must do. You have to unplug, step away, renew, refresh daily, if not
Yeah,
momentarily, whatever it might be of your method. And I don't espouse to tell people what they need to do that works for them. For me, it's breathing and taking a quick walk, a walk around. It's also reflecting, regrouping my thoughts, but stepping away from a situation to really appropriately have a better perspective. Too many times we want to rush right in
right.
instead of stepping back to really look at how we can be effective, not only to those we're serving, but to ourselves. We have to have the bandwidth. That's why I say my job as a parent has been remarkable because I need to have bandwidth to keep up with a 9 year old.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. I
And
know.
managing teams of people, that was a job. It certainly was something. And serving the community at large in public service, that's another role. But we have to talk about how we collectively and individually take care to take breaks. The spa is always good. An outdoor walk in a park is a treat. and being able to think about what exactly works for you. So I always suggest that people have to incorporate that into their crisis management strategy.
Absolutely. It's funny that you talked about walks because, I'd say to a lot of us, myself included, while I don't have a green thumb, I've been doing a lot of planting these days. And I said to my son, well, are you going to plant with me? And he's like, oh, no, planting with mom is not cool. But I'm like, all right, at least we're going to go out and walk. And so walking for him is walking on his hoverboard.
There you go.
At least it's something that you can do. You can disconnect. You can take a break and get out into
Mm-hmm.
the sun. So I definitely
Yeah.
recommend that, and I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Those moments, moment by moment, day by
Mm-hmm.
day, taking in,
Mm-hmm.
checking in. It's vital and absolutely important.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Exactly.
see. Thank you so much. Hey, Rhonda. Thank you so much for checking in. Awesome, awesome. Now, when it comes to you as a leader, are there certain
Mm-hmm.
things that you found, well, maybe one thing in particular that you found you really had to stretch yourself and grow as an entrepreneur and leader over the years?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That happens every day, I'll
Yeah.
admit, to being completely transparent, especially as the world shifted. I needed to push myself into areas that I was not as familiar with or comfortable.
Yeah.
I have the people skills, but like you, I can be a bit of an introvert. And now needing to push myself out into social media a bit more, little by little, but also getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
okay, but push past that uncomfortable feeling. I've done it on platforms, I've done it in leadership roles. Why is it any different? And so, certainly needing to look at how, for me, it's being in that moment of discomfort and knowing that it will pass. And soon I'll be a pro at whatever I just learned how to do.
Right. Everybody has to start as step zero, right? We all have to start at the beginning. And considering that
Yeah.
we're using all of these platforms, especially using video, StreamYard, Zoom, you name it, we're on it. I've seen you use video, but how do you, what's the best way for me to ask this question? Like, how do you approach leaders when it comes to that? I mean, anxiety around either technology or video
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
getting
Mm-hmm.
accustomed to doing some of the things that they usually did, but in this new digital space.
Yes. Well, really, with clients who I talk with and business organizations who I help, I talk with them directly about what is that spot? What is that
Yeah.
tension? What is that pain point? And not getting all really touchy feely, if you will, but really talking about what is the fear. If it's the fear of public speaking that people talk about, what is it? And video is no different. Is it
Yeah.
that the technology will fail? Is it that you won't know what button to push? Or is it that my hair won't look right, all of those things that we worry about that are not necessarily all of our concerns, but really to find out what those pain points are and to overcome them. And so that for me has been a test to leadership skills of being able to rise to that occasion of saying, okay, next hill, the next mountain, the next hurdle, and being able to overcome. And so for me in the technology and video space, it's saying, wow, now what can we do? We can transmit through telephone, not just that, but through watch devices. We can transmit through
Right.
television and PDA devices. Who would have thought of that 20 years ago, 10 years ago? It's
Exactly.
remarkable. So I
You
embrace
know,
it.
I would be curious for those of you watching, whether you're watching live or via the replay, or are there certain pain points as a leader that you've had to push past, right? To not only in this situation, but maybe other situations where you had to be more confident and you had to work in a crisis. What were those things out of curiosity for you? I know that honestly, for me, pushing past, I always say to you guys, get your ASK, get your ask in gear, but that was something else for me. That wasn't a leadership thing to do. Like I'm used to just taking things on and doing it myself. So being in spaces where I would ask people to help support to come out, that was something that I had to learn how to do. I don't know about you, Dawn, but that was definitely something that I had to learn how to do.
Asking for help. And
Yeah.
often leaders think that they have to do that themselves. That's one of the things I often talk about. Delegating is a beautiful thing. And being
Mhm.
able to ask for someone else to help fill in that gap. I know it's the work that you do. It's so profound of talking about how you don't know how to do it. You better ask. You better speak up.
Just get that ASK, get that ask in gear. Now, I know that you've got some good to share with respect to leading in a crisis and figuring out what needs to happen next. You have a checklist for us, correct?
Do. I actually developed and did brain dump on lots of things. The checklist is one of many of my crisis leadership, crisis management tools, and people can download a free copy, complimentary copy of that at flourishleadership.com
Flourishleadership.com
/CLCG for the checklist guide. So that's
CLCG Crisis
flourish,
Leadership Guide.
FLOURG.
There we go. And hopefully you guys were able to hear clearly. And I think that it's in the description as well. Flourishleadership.com /CLCG.
That's right. And
correct?
I have a copy here. This
Good.
is the Crisis Leadership Guide. And so people will get this.
Awesome. So you guys can get that absolutely free from Dawn. I don't know if you could share maybe one thing that's on the checklist that people need to consider just to kind of get them started so they can get a little bit of taste of what to expect.
Absolutely. A little taste of what's in the guide here. Absolutely. One thing that we talked a little bit about today, but was being able to share about people having to deal with that and not just panic. So that's where I talked a little bit about the micro macro approach, and to not just have people say, oh my goodness.
Your connection was going in and out there. I lost you for a minute. So I just want to make sure that we're good. Okay, you're good now. Okay, so go back.
Okay, yes, can you hear me again here?
What you were saying.
Oh, good. Yes. Oh, go back. Yeah. I was saying about the one of the points we touched on today about the macro micro points and the idea of people being able to be ready and prepared. One of the points inside of the guide that I talk about is to develop the uncanny ability to deal with the unknown. So how do we deal with the unknown? How do we, we don't have a checklist per se, but in our brain to embed, we have to be able to deal with it. It's not like, oh my goodness, well, the house is on fire, I have to do something. Or, oh my goodness, the computer system failed. What do I do? You better develop a set of strategies quickly and learn how to really just deal with that. As we talked about, plan A, B, C, D. The computer failed. Where's your backup? And being able to work around that. So
that's important. It's super important because a lot of people in this world, not only just in leadership roles, but just in adulting roles, don't handle the unknown very well, don't handle unexpected very well. So being able to beef up those muscles, I think that that's crucial and that's absolutely essential. So as we're wrapping up today, just want to friendly remind a few of the recommendations that you shared as far as methods. You gave us a few, I think maybe 2 or 3. You talked about partnerships and backups to the backups. Just want to recap anything as far, feel free to do that as we're wrapping up for today.
Sure, absolutely. I think that it is intuitive that we may run from a crisis and also feel afraid of handling it, but be in that moment of discomfort. Remember to have self-care. That's absolutely paramount. Yeah. And also remember to have those methods and strategies. You won't know how to deal with the unknown. Right now, the world is in a chaos situation. We don't know how to deal with where we are in the world. Yeah. But we do have a set of skills that we've always had, those soft skills that I mentioned, skills, and also being able to leverage some new skills. Exactly.
Good stuff. So y'all make sure that you grab your leadership checklist, right? So I need Dawn to once again share that URL, the title and the link so that you guys know where to go.
Absolutely. This is flourishleadership.com /CLCG. That's checklist guide. And you can grab your free download copy here. This is the whole thing. It's a crisis leadership guide that you'll be able to download the pages. And there's actually a space in the back for some notes so you can keep everything handy in one place because you'll need this information when you're in a crisis, right?
Absolutely. And as leaders, if there are some particular questions that are coming up for you and you need some support and direction around, I highly recommend staying connected to Dawn. Feel free to let them know where they need to go so they can stay connected to you.
Absolutely. Folks can follow me on my website there, but across social at Dawn McCoy Books. I'm on all platforms there and do leadership coaching development with individuals and organizations and trying to make sure we know we cannot just be ordinary at what we do. We must be extraordinary. So I'm so glad to have the opportunity to share about crisis management, leadership that we need, and how we can handle crisis situations.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I'm sure I'm going to have you come back so we can dig into some more strategies, talking about, I know for a lot of people, entrepreneurs in particular, identifying their skill sets, understanding, how to step from behind the camera and the computer and really step into that leadership role with confidence. Things that a lot of us we want to do, but we're working on too. So
Yes.
I definitely would love for you to continue to talk to us about confidence building for leaders, especially during times of crisis. And we'll make sure that you can come back on and do so another time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, y'all. Make sure that you stay connected with Dawn. Turn on alerts and notifications so you can see when I'm live, so you can jump on here live with me. I'm going to continue to share these amazing boss conversations with amazing entrepreneurs like the amazing Dawn McCoy. You see, I can't say amazing enough, right? So that you guys learn how to do this with strategy and intention. Flourishing, that is the name of the game. So thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Yay! Glad that you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the flip side. Till next time, take care. Bye, guys.